Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. Come right this way, have a seat with me today in the corner booth celebrating our 90th week. Sweeney, clear that floor. Katie, bar the door. Molly, put on another pot of Irish coffee. Let's get this show on the road. We've got another full house today, not a chair to spare. Things have really been busy here lately, and I think it's just going to get busy all the way through Christmas. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host. You can check me out, reach me anytime on my webpage at www.irishroots.com. Be sure to check out our blog for our written show notes. I include a lot more information, and you can just click on the links and go to places that I mention in this podcast. So it's a pretty handy little deal. Plus, you can search our podcast. You can search our books online by typing in any term you like. So try it. You'll like it. Oh, yeah. And remember, you can always call in and leave your comments on my recorder at 816-256-3360. Well, what do we got today? Among today's topics, number 1, Connolly is the Irish family name of the day. County Antrim is the county of the week. Searching for Harkness and Abraham in Tipperary. Barack promises Mannion a pint in Ireland. Margaret Mary Ward has a record number of grandchildren. Holocaust group protests Mormon baptisms. Coatbridge Irish Genealogy Project is the webpage of the week. And the Strokestown Famine Archive discovery. Hey, that reminds me, you can get all 3 of my free broadcasts right online. You can go right to our webpage, or you can go onto iTunes and look them up there. It's Irish Families Worldwide, this broadcast here, and we have an enhanced version. If you'd like to see photos on there and be able to click links right on the little pictures we put along with the broadcast, you have to have quick time to make that work. But that's just another little new one. That's our latest one we came out with. And then we have the Irish in America that we still have to start the second season on. And the Irish Song and Recitation Festival, I guess you'd say that's our 4th podcast, really. And I'm doing the second season of that right now. Had a little mishap this last week. My recorder was fine, but there was some electrical equipment in the background. And then that noise came over the recording when I played it back. And I'll have to monitor it closer because that was a remote location, and now I've got to do the whole thing again. Well, let's take a look at this week, what we've got going on our notes for the week. Well, number 1, Barack Obama promised 20-year-old Peter Mannion from Tuam, County Galway, that he'd visit Ireland and buy him a pint. And that was done when Mannion was working on the presidential campaign for him. And you know what? I think all of Ireland's going to take note if that promise is fulfilled. The Irish government has already asked him officially to see his family roots in Montego, County Offaly. So there'll be some celebrating over there if that actually happens. But you never know. Things are going to get awful busy, awful quick, I think. Number 2. Well, you know, even though Christmas spending is going to be down this year, I think all over the world, Ireland is still predicted to be the biggest spender in Europe, followed by England and then by Spain. And guess who's going to lose all the gifts this year? The biggest cuts in gifts, according to the survey. It said that co-workers may not be getting many gifts this year, so don't keep your hopes up if you're a co-worker. Hey, number 3. It seems that Holocaust survivors are saying that a 13-year agreement has been repeatedly broken by the Mormon Church. It seems that the Jewish Holocaust victims are still being baptized by the LDS. And this article says that the chairman of the American Gathering of Holocaust Survivors said that we ask you to respect us and our Judaism just as we respect your religion. And this follows similar sentiments from the Catholic Church earlier this year. They closed church records to the LDS, who it seems like are trying to baptize everyone into their church with or without permission. Now, it really wouldn't make a lot of difference to me. I could use all the baptisms I could get, I imagine, but if I didn't want to be baptized, I wouldn't want somebody to do it. Or if my mother or my grandfather didn't want to be baptized, that wouldn't be a good thing to go ahead and baptize them against their permission. So there is a little bit of a problem there. But then again, genealogists need all the information they can get, so that's something on the other side of the ledger. Well, let's move on now to the Book of the Month. Well, our book this month's going to be County Antrim Ireland Genealogy and Family History Notes. And, of course, that's part of my 34-volume set on Irish family history and genealogy notes. It's one of the spiral-bound volumes from that series. And let's take a look. Let me see. Right there in the beginning of the book here, it says the most numerous families in the 19th century according to the birth index. And who do we have listed but Smith, Johnston, Stewart, Wilson, Thompson, O'Neill, Campbell. My gosh, it just keeps going on. Moore, Bell, Robinson, Miller, Brown, Boyd, Scott, Graham, Reed, Martin, Kerr, Hamilton. A lot of big-time names there, and they can be spelled so many different ways. As a matter of fact, in my blog, I listed 3 ways to spell each name just to open your eyes up a bit in case you've forgotten about those spellings. Brown can be spelled B-R-O-U-N, and Moore can be spelled M-O-R-E or M-O-O-R. That's the way it is with Irish family names, so remember, even if you've never spelled your name any other way, the record takers sure have at some time along the way, and if you're doing research, you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Well, let's take a look at one more record for County Antrim. The names on the map of the Four Masters. And what families were in the county in earlier days? Well, according to that map, that's Connelly's translation, families like Bissett and de Burgo, de Lacy, McAllister, McLean, O'Donnell, O'Flynn, O'Furry, O'Hamel, O'Hare, Kane, Keevan, Mulholland, Shield, and a bunch more, but that's just a few of them. I've got them all listed on the blog if you're interested, but a lot of fine old names there. And that was taken from the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters, the Connolly edition I reprinted just a few years ago. Hey, remember, coming up later in this episode, we've got the Strokestown Famine Archives find. Whose ancestor was there and got some food during the famine? Find out about that towards the end of this podcast. Right now, you know what time it is? It's time to raise our eyes skyward, give thanks, and ask for help. Here are today's Magnificent 7. Number 1, new member Bonnie Connolly of Oceanside, California. Hey, I've been out there at Oceanside. That's real nice in the evening. She's searching for John Connolly, born 1744, believed to be in Armagh, and last known in Wilkes County, North Carolina. Number 2, new member Irene Wilkinson of Derbyshire in the UK, searching for Harkness and Abraham families, mainly in Tipperary. And remember, if any of you guys can help out there, just let me know and I'll get you in touch. Number 3, Ian Hurley of Jacksonville, Florida. Your genealogy and family history notes for County Limerick has shipped. Number 4, Sandra Hewitt of Oaks, Pennsylvania. Your County Armagh genealogy book has shipped. Number 5, Martin Rogers of Taupo, New Zealand. Your County Cavan genealogy and family history notes has shipped. Number 6, Michael Tormey of St. Petersburg, Florida. Your families of County Galway shipped. And 7, Marion Johnson of Holstein, Ontario, Canada. Your County Down genealogy and family history notes has shipped as well. Hey, that reminds me to say thank you to all of our members, because without you, all of these podcasts, all these books wouldn't be possible. It's a deal just between me and you, and I sure do appreciate the help. So anytime you can join up, it sure helps me out, keeps me going here, keeps me pedaling. Well, now it's time we move on to the Irish family name of the day. And the name of the day today is Connolly. And of course, we're doing that in honor of Bonnie Connolly. We mentioned just up there at the top of the new member list. And she's searching for that John Connolly. Let me see, how many ways can you spell the name? Well, I listed a bunch of them, about 10 of them or so on the blog. You can spell that with a double N or a single N. You can spell it with an O or an E. You can interchange that just about anywhere in there. And, of course, it could end up being A-L-L-Y or O-L-A-Y, just a bunch of them. So take a look at that variant spelling groups that I've got listed there on the blog. That's taken from the Master Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names. I got a link to that on the blog, too. Now, if we take a look at the name Connolly, you'll see it's one of the most 30 numerous names in the whole country of Ireland. And that usually tells you, in this case it's true, too, that there's several families of the name that aren't even related, so that's another reason to trace your family back. You find out just which side of the branch you're related to. And the family name is also sometimes confused and interchanged with names like Connolly and Connolly, so that's another thing to be keeping your eye out for if you're doing some serious research. And the most famous family of the name is probably that of County Monaghan in the province of Ulster. That's in the north of Ireland. And they were one of the 4 tribes of Tara, and they were princes of Brescia in more ancient times. And you can see that they were driven into County Monaghan with the coming of the Norman invasions. And then you got the O'Connollys of County Cork way down in Munster. And they're noted in the old territory of O'Donovan there. And the O'Connellys of Umain or High Minnie in the province of Connaught are associated with County Galway yet today. And the spelling there has been sort of turned around to be spelled like Connolly instead of Connolly. The birth index finds the family in Galway and Cork and Monaghan and Galway again there, Antrim and Dublin. And if we take a look at the 17th century, O'Connolly was a principal name of Monaghan still then, and just simply Connolly was a principal name of Louth, and Connolly, spelled with an L-A-Y ending, was a principal name of County Waterford. That shows you sometimes spelling that name makes a difference, but you can't be sure which one, how your name was spelled 300 years ago, because sometimes folks just decide to change that name, so keep that in mind. We also have a J.G. Connolly, who was a lieutenant in the 2nd Regiment of Corcoran's Irish Legion of Civil War fame in America. And the name is found in Mar's Irish Brigade of that day, as well as in the Spanish Army in Europe. So you got some fighting men in the Connolly family. And that little excerpt was taken from the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small. That's the first and master volume to that Irish Families project that I've talked about before. And let me see, we're going to move on down. What else do we have for the day? Irish family coats of arms. Yep, the Connolly family is, of course, found in the Irish Book of Arms. And we've got Connolly of Castletown, County Kildare, illustrated in black and white. And O'Connolly is also listed in another section of the book, and that's also the Kildare branch. So they must be the branch of the family that had all the money. You know, usually those coat of arms families were the uppity ones, weren't they? That is, until the Irish Free State was formed and they got their arms for being a patriotic family. Let me see, the Free Master Index search of Irish names on our webpage. If you go there and type in the name Connolly, what do you get? There's just all kinds of references to the name there. You can find it in my county books on Clare, Kerry, Dublin, Cork, Donegal. You can also find a Mr. Connolly listed in Pinner's Survey of Ireland, which is part of my Conquest of Ireland reprint that I did. And Connolly is also mentioned several times in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters, as you might expect. And you have a M. Connolly and a P. Connolly in Irish Families on the California Trail, so I didn't neglect the family in that book over here either. Of course, it's hard to ignore somebody who has so many people, isn't it? And you can also find O'Connolly in the history of the Clan O'Rourke families in Ireland. And there's probably 20 listings or more in our periodical index, the Journal of the American Irish Historical Society, James and John and Michael, and it just goes on forever. And, of course, the Birth Index of Ireland has to show a family that was ranked number 30 in popularity. That does it for Connolly. I think there's plenty of tips there, plenty of lines to work on. Let's move on now to our website of the week. Well, our website today is going to be the Coatbridge Irish Genealogy Project, and that's in the UK, don't you know? And we've got the link to that on our webpage, and you can also, or their email too, you just click on them. That's Coatbridge Irish Genealogy Project.co.uk. And they say that their site's also being updated with new family information, and they've got about 260 entries already entered on the webpage from the Coatbridge Irish families. And it's pretty interesting. I guess they had a reunion and folks came from all over and let people know. It says they have details the year the family arrived and the number of family branches in Coatbridge. And it seems like, 19% of the families came from Donegal, 9% from Down, 9% from Tyrone, 8.5% from Antrim, and 8% from Armagh. So that's real interesting. It'll help some families if they're looking, if they've seen the name Coatbridge anywhere in that family research. That'd be a place you're going to want to go. And we'll just throw in a Irish Roots Cafe video of the week if you're out browsing on the web. Remember that we've got the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters, a little commentary with some pictures of the annals and an explanation by me of just what they are. And I talked briefly about the annals history, so you can go take a look at that on YouTube or on our webpage. I got the link on our blog. Well, boy, we've done really good today. Let's move on now to Curious News and Notes. Hey, number one, the Strokestown Estate Famine Archives are being restored, and they contain information of interest to Irish family researchers. And you know, one document was uncovered showing that Mary Linehan of Elphin Street, Strokestown, County Roscommon, she received a meal on June 23rd, 1846. I think you had to get a letter to get a free meal or a letter of recommendation. But that means that she had hit and her family were on hard times. But you know what? Old Mary Linehan was the ancestor of the President of Ireland, Mary McAleese. Well, you know, there's some 200 boxes of that collection that are being restored, and hopefully it's going to become available next year after they're done working on them. So if you've got anybody from that part of the country, that might be a gold mine for you. Could give you the exact location of your family. A lot of times they listed where they were living. For more, you can go to the independent.ie online. I've got a link on the blog. You can click and read more about that story. Number two, Margaret Mary Ward was born in County Galway and came to Salford in the UK in 1963. Boy, she had 15 children, and if that wasn't enough, she had 172 grandchildren at the time she was laid to rest here just right recently. And, of course, her hearse was covered by the tricolor flag and pulled by 2 gray horses. That's in the old-fashioned way. It leaves a better impression, I think. And you know what? Her family's said to be among the largest living in Britain today, and that's according to a story in the irishtimes.com. I've got that link in the blog if you want to go to it. Number 3, if you're thinking of retiring in Ireland, you might consider Greystones in County Wicklow, and that was given as one of the most livable communities in the world by Livecom Awards, and they won the gold medal for towns with a population under 20,000, and Mayor Sean Quirk was on hand for that. You might also take note of Clonakilty in County Cork, which won a silver medal in 2006. You know what? This year's event, when they held the little declaration and everything, they held that in China. So that's pretty interesting. They gave Ireland an award all the way from China. It never ceases to amaze me. This world's getting smaller and smaller all the time. Well, now we've got number 4, Lieutenant Commander Roberta O'Brien of the Glen of Aherlow in Tipperary just became the first commander of an Irish ship. And that's pretty darn good. Good things are happening all over, aren't they? I just heard on the news the other day we had the first 5-star general of the female persuasion got appointed in the States. So things are changing all the time. Number 5, Dublin turned on its Christmas lights 3 weeks early this year on November the 9th, and they're hoping to bring out the shopping spirit and keep the recession away. And Belfast turns on its lights November 18th. It all seems a bit early for me and a bit commercial. I'll be celebrating Christmas at Christmas time. I always thought that the lights shouldn't be turned on until my birthday, which was just a couple of days before Christmas. But I don't think anybody else agrees with me unless their birthday's right around that time too. Well, I think that's going to do it. Remember, the book of the month was County Antrim. And I just got an email from a friend of mine that said that listed all kinds of things. If you're an Irishman, these are the things true about you. And it even said, if you're an Irishman, you think you can sing whether you can or not. Well, I've never heard anything so ridiculous in my whole life. But just remember that the book of the month was Antrim. So to commemorate that, I'll just give you a line from a song, and we'll see if you know what the song was. And it's, let me see, how did it go? In a neat little town they call Belfast, an apprentice to trade I was bound, and many a happy hour I spent in that neat little town, till bad misfortune o'ertook me, and forced me to stray from the land. Well, I'm a little congested tonight. I couldn't even make that up to my standards. But it's a good way to sign off. And remember to send your comments by clicking on the contact link on our webpage at irishroots.com, or send up by mail to our American address at the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri 64116. Leave your message or report on things in your part of the world when you call my phone recorder at 816-256-3360, and you can Skype me at Irish Roots Cafe. Members foot the bill, so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.